Hello, everyone. This is Yu Yang from Yole Intelligence in France. Welcome to our video sharing session. Today, I want to get you through some key findings I had during my visit to IAA Transportation show in Hanover last month. And also, we want to discuss a little bit about, in our perspective, what will be the future for tomorrow's trucks and buses. So the material today is based on the visit I had to IAA Transportation in Hanover last month, which is the biggest commercial vehicle show worldwide and has been stopped for 4 years due to COVID. So this year, there were a lot of OEMs and part suppliers from everywhere of the world. So I think a lot of things is worth of sharing with you to see what will be the future of the commercial vehicles. And I want to also tell a little bit about the key findings that has been integrated fully with our medium and heavy duty commercial vehicle electrification report, which is going to be released in weeks. So first, when we talk about mobility, I would say that the buzzword is the case, so-called case. The connectivity, autonomous, shared mobility, and the electrification. So everybody when think of cars, think of the mobility, they will come up with these 4 keywords. However, while you're really in the show, you see obviously all the booths and things, the impression you have will be like this. And of course, in the show, you also have the conventional ones and also other parts, things. But I would say for the megatrend, that will be the main topic during the show. And among all the megatrends, the electrification is really the key one, the most important one, I would say. And why is that? Especially if you compare to the same show 4 years ago, there was still so many diesel trucks and the things, and why there's such a huge change. And we also make a summary in our report. So here we show the new technology adoption curve, or S-curve. So things can be quite flat at the beginning, which is mostly driven by incentives, but can be accelerated due to the change of regulations. I think that is what's happening with the commercial vehicle industry. And in the major market, let's say Europe, US, especially California, and also China, there will be change in the regulations. So that will be a strong push to the electrification of trucks and buses. And then also we want to learn a little bit more. If you see the position of passenger car here, or light duty vehicles here, it's changing from the regulation-driven to market-driven. So from our perspective, if you check the penetration rate, we would say that there's kind of a gap of 6 to 8 years between the light-duty vehicles and the medium heavy-duty vehicles. So this is to say, for what is happening with the passenger vehicles these days, if you see so many BEVs on market and they are very popular, the penetration rate is kind of increasing dramatically every year. We believe that will also be the same case for the medium and heavy duty vehicles in the coming maybe 6 to 10 years. So that's our key message to deliver. And then back to the IAA Transportation show itself. So these are really the booths I visited, or I went to check the cars and also check the specifications. So on the left side, you have really the groups of OEMs, they were there. And also in combination with kind of these legacy OEMs, there are quite a lot of new startups, especially for the trucks. That's also quite impressive. And also on this side, you can see basically there are the suppliers, especially a lot of tier ones. And I would say most of them come from the existing industry. So there are much fewer newcomers for that one. But here is a different. And then I think we also want to go a little bit further. I think we had a discussion also in our report, so about the startups. And also here we do a mapping of all the vehicles they are focusing on with all the startups. So like Hyzon, Nikola, and the Tiva, they were all at the IAA, so that's why we show them here. And also for the others, and you have the details in our report. But I think there are some things you can really see. A good pattern you can find from here is that a lot of them are American companies, and they are really focusing on the heavy duties, class 5 to class 8, especially class 8. And also a lot of them actually, they are betting on both technologies, which means BEV and fuel cell in parallel. So I think this is quite something very interesting for the medium and heavy duty electrification, especially for the trucks electrification. And also, I think here, Tesla was not at IAA as always, but I think Tesla is going to also deliver their semi-trucks by the end of this year, actually. Already, they really revolutionize the passenger vehicle segment. So we think is that this is also something worth of closely following up. And yeah, for the show itself, we make a kind of a summary of the technical trends, and we will go through them one by one with some of details. The first thing is about the fuel technologies. So on one side, you have the BEVs, you have the fuel cells, and on the other hand, you also have the traditional ICE-based things, like say the hydrogen ICE, the e-fuel ICEs. And also in between, you have hybrid. But from what we see at the booth, what we discovered or discussed with the OEMs and with tier ones, we believe is that BEV and fuel cell will be the main technology choice for the medium and heavy duty vehicles, especially here in Europe. And another thing I think is that it's quite interesting to share is about the supply chain of the technologies. So because of the passenger vehicles or L-duty vehicles, they have started the electrification and earlier, and also with much bigger scale. So for the medium and heavy duty ones, I think it's very important to learn what have been happened there. And I think also we discuss this a little bit more in our report. So for example, for the OEM, at the OEM level, you have some dedicated OEMs for passenger vehicles. You have some dedicated OEM for working only for trucks and buses. But also you have actually quite some OEM groups, they have business spanning all through them. But if you go a little bit down to the tier ones, you will see is that actually the combination in between is expanding. A lot of companies, actually, they are supplying both to the segment. And if you go one step further, which is also the focus of Yole, of semiconductor, and we can see is that basically the supply chain is shared. So the learning for the players in the commercial vehicle segment is that you should really try to benefit from these synergies already established by the light-duty vehicles, and also introduce those concepts and also make them adapted to the situation. I think that will be very helpful in the electrification process. The next thing we want to talk about is about integration. I think that's also quite a hot topic and also will be popular with trucks and the buses. So first is a nutshell of what can be integrated, and this is just to show you, okay, what's on the electric car, and also this is the scheme. We have it centered by the battery pack, but to better understanding the options for integration, we redraw this picture. So every component or systems, they are connecting to the power bus. They are in red color, and also you have also quite a lot of them are controlled by the controllers. They are connected by the signal bus. And also don't forget, for the commercial vehicles, you always have the 24-volt kind of low voltage network. And as of integration, I think you have kind of quite a lot of options, but here we only show two things we think is more representative. So the first case is from ZF. I think it's I call it classic 3-in-1, which means inverter, motor, and transmission, they are integrated together, but they are much more complicated than the case of passenger vehicles. As you can see here, this system integrates 2 motors, 2 inverters on each side, and also it is connected by a 3-speed transmission. It's a very powerful and compact system. So I think this is very impressive, but this is very natural starting from the passenger vehicle side. But also you can see that another option, this is a case of BYD. So they are actually putting everything together in between, so out of battery pack and out of the motor and the transmissions. So almost everything in between they put together into one big high power electric box. So that's including inverters for the motor and also the DC-DC, the PDU, the power distribution unit, and also including other low power network systems. But they still use a lot of power device and also sometimes sharing same control system. So that also makes a lot of sense. But I think it's a judging by your own resources and also own requirement. You can really go to different options of integration. But either way, you can save the space, the weight, the cost, both the BOM cost and also assembly cost. So I think integration is already mainstream for passenger vehicles, and it will be more popular also among the commercial vehicles. The other thing is about dedicated BEV chassis or platform. So nowadays, I think a lot of especially trucks or buses, they are kind of working in the conversion way. And we have seen that a lot of really new batch of trucks and buses, they come from dedicated BEV platform. And also we think things will not stop there. That's still going to evolve to more kind of skateboard-like chassis. So we'll go a little bit detail to see them. The first is about the conversion. So it's take out the diesel engine transmissions and put into the motors and the inverters. So the good thing is that it's fast, it's kind of easy, but on the other side, you still keep most of the systems there. Things like you have the same axle, you have almost the same drive shaft, so that takes a lot of space and looks not really compact. And also then the batteries, they have to be just putting outside from the main frames, which is also very limited in space. So this is a quick way, but have very limited performance. So that's the kind of most of the trucks are driving on road, or e-trucks are driving on road these days. And we see is that quite some startups, because they don't have the legacy platforms, they are working on the dedicated platform. So there are two things I think is quite clear. One is that the batteries, they are arranged in a much more compact way. If you see these batteries, it's a 3x3 9 packs. They just distributed along the main frames, main beams, and also that they have also quite integrated electric systems and also axles. That also saves a lot of space. So that's, I think, will be the mainstream quite soon on market, and also could really deliver a much longer range. But as mentioned, I think for the BEVs, you can also turn to quite battery-centered design or ideas, which is also the case with the passenger vehicles. Again, as I said, for the passenger vehicles, there are a lot of technologies concept could be applied to the commercial vehicles, but they're not just easy copy and paste, but the concept are very similar. So this is also a very good case. And also this is the case from BYD. So with the combination of their blade battery, which is quite low in the Z direction, and also the wheel set motor, they have a very compact, very high energy density chassis, especially for bus applications. And then this is for bus, but I think it's just the beginning. We think a lot of technologies will also be applied. And I think in the future, that will also be for the trucks that will allows you to deliver a really long distance for one charge. And the last point we want to share about the technologies is about the energy replenishment. So here in Europe, I think it's the OEMs, as you can see here, is that they are really heading to the high power charging solutions. And I think, especially I think this one, the joint venture between Daimler Truck, Traton, and Volvo. So these three, they are having a combined of something like 60 to 70% of the truck market in Europe. So this is the things I think will be kind of the mainstream quite soon. But don't forget, I think we don't have it here, but we have it in our report. Also in China, actually, battery swapping is also very popular. So that's also another way to solve the problem for the trucks. So these are the main technology takeaways. But apart from them, there are still two additional points I want to share with you. The first is about the Chinese players. So this is a slide I took from our report on passenger vehicles. So there we discuss about the possibilities for the Chinese OEMs and also suppliers, because they have been working on the electrification for more than 10 years. So they are now taking this chance to do more export. I think this year we see really a lot of news from NIO, from BYD. They are coming to the European market. And we think this will be quite similar for the medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles. So at the show, actually, you see on the booth side, you have BYD, very huge booth, very nice press conference. And also some other OEMs, they were also there with their electric solutions. And also for the supplier side, you can see also CATL, the world's biggest battery supplier, and also some other Chinese suppliers. They were all at the show. So the conclusion here is that for the medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles, they will follow a very similar trend as in the passenger vehicles. So they will take their advantage in electrification and also try to do the export market. And another thing we want to discuss a little bit more about is the fuel cells. As I mentioned, the fuel cell will be a quite mainstream technologies for the heavy trucks. So for the fuel cells, actually you have is that actually a very complete drivetrain for electric drivetrain. And also then there is a quite dedicated hydrogen systems, let's say the tanks and the fuel cell stacks. And also, as you can see here, there's a lot of dedicated parts for the circulation of the hydrogen. So at the show, we have things like Hyzon and Nikola. They are very known startups working on the fuel cell trucks. And also the legacy OEMs. Here we have the Daimler Truck, the e-vehicle, and also DAF. They also have piloting prototypes there. And don't forget about the key parts. Like what we have here, this is from Bosch. You can see is that they also have a dedicated hydrogen parts for the fuel cells. So the conclusion here is that quite a lot of OEMs and suppliers, they are really working on fuel cells. But still, we think they are quite at an early stage of development. But also this means for alternative fuels, let's say the e-fuel, the biofuel, and also the hydrogen ICEs, the chance for them to be mainstream will be much lower. I have to say is that if you see the choices of a lot of OEMs and suppliers. And then we want to make a summary of everything about the technologies we see. So for the trucks, and that's kind of the cherry of the cake for commercial vehicles. And then if they want to go further to, let's say, more than 700 or 800 kilometers range, so the things we have already discussed quite a lot in the previous pages, and also don't forget some other factors. Let's say the global thermal systems, and also the aerodynamic design that will be all helpful to improve the efficiency. So this is just a summary of all the technical trends we believe will be the future of the trucks. And then back to the beginning, we think is that electrification is taking off for commercial vehicles. And there are a lot of nice concepts, quite established supply chain from the passenger vehicles. So for the trucks and buses, if you want to really accelerate your electrification, don't forget them. Try to benefit from the establishment. And just a few words about Yole. So we are really a company specific in semiconductor or chips or microelectronics with spread through the whole value chain. And also we have very strong focus in automotive and mobility. And if you want to get this slide deck, or if you want to have some more information about our soon to be launched report, you can contact with me, or if you have any concerns or discussions, you're also more than welcome. And also, please don't forget this is our declaration of the data, and also feel free to contact with our sales colleagues. And thank you for your time. Bye-bye.